Hello everyone and welcome to the Litany of Catholic Martyrs for August 16th. Please pray for the families of those who had loved ones who were martyred on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka. As always, I offer this mission so we don't forget the martyrs. The blood of the martyrs, as always, as we know, is the seat of the church. So I offer this little 3 to 4 minute video to just name the martyrs that the church tries to remember today, that we should all remember. In hopes that when we are presented with a situation, as Catholics, each and every day we are little situations and big situations where we are asked to profess the faith and to act in accordance with our faith. And when we are asked questions or when we are confronted with people who may not be, who aren't Catholic, that we act like Catholics. And as such, sometimes we're marginalized. Many people in other countries, Syria and Muslim-controlled countries, they're murdered, they're martyred. So the church itself, the bishops, the cardinals, the priests, to a large degree, don't mention the martyrs. I suppose for two reasons. One is because it talks about death, and people don't want to hear that there's an end, that they're going to die someday. And the second reason is because it talks about sacrifice. And the church, for whatever reason, or I shouldn't say the church has always talked about sacrifice. I mean, Jesus Christ is our head, so of course there's going to be just talk about sacrifice. But the priests and bishops, they don't like talking about that anymore. How you have to sacrifice, have to do the right thing, how there's 10 commandments and you follow the precepts of God and all those things. So I think it's one of the reasons why they don't mention the martyrs, because the martyrs are true sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. So I do this each and every day so that we try and remember the martyrs, even if one person listens to this and reads this and gets a feeling of satisfaction from this. Even if nobody, I still do this because I love God and I love my church and I love being Catholic. So with all that being said, let's begin. These are the men, women, and children who the church tries to remember today on August 16th. Saint Joachim, father of the Most Blessed Virgin Mary, whose birthday is the 20th of March. In Rome, St. Titus, deacon, who when the city was taken by the Goths, was put to death by a barbarous tribune whilst distributing money to the poor. At Nicaea in Bithynia, St. Diomedes, physician, who underwent martyrdom for the faith of Christ by being beheaded during the persecution of Diocletian. Also 33 holy martyrs with him. At Ferentino in Campania, St. Ambrose, centurion, not St. Augustine, St. Ambrose. In the persecution of Diocletian, he was subjected to different kinds of tortures, and finally passing through fire, without injury, was cast into the water and thus reached the place of eternal rest. So they couldn't burn him to death, so they drowned him. At Milan, the demise of St. Simplician, bishop, renowned by the testimony given of him by St. Ambrose and St. Augustine. If you read the confessions of St. Augustine, he mentions St. Simplician quite a bit and how they were friends and some of the things that they did together. St. Auxerre, at Auxerre, St. Eleutherius, who was a bishop. At Nicomedia, St. Arsacius, that's what it is. St. Arsacius, confessor. Under the persecution of Licinius, he left the military service and, leading a solitary life, became so famous for working miracles that we read of his expelling of the demons and killing a huge dragon by his prayers. Finally, he foretold the destruction of the city and gave up his soul to God in prayer. In France, near Montpellier, the demise of Blessed Roch, confessor, who by the sign of the cross delivered many cities of Italy from an epidemic. His body was afterwards transferred to Venice and deposited with the greatest of honors in the church dedicated under his invocation. And finally at Rome, Saint Serena, who had been the wife of the emperor Diocletian. I did some reading on her this morning. She was secretly a Christian, and she tried to help within the household of the emperor. And Diocletian, I think, stepped down, and during that time, because Galerius, Maximian Galerius, took over from Diocletian, and that's when Saint Serena was killed. These are the men, women, and children. Imagine being Diocletian's wife, Diocletian's wife, and because he was crazy, he killed everybody, or tried to kill everybody. Imagine trying to do good things within that household. Amazing. So let's remember these men, women, and children who love the church more than themselves and sacrificed their lives for the growth of the church and for love of the church. Thank you all for listening this morning. God bless each and every